Hi everyone, Kate here to announce Cloak and Dagger Christmas 2021. I have up my Christmas backdrop. I was able to get it up for this and can't wait to tell you about the prompts for this year. If you are new to my channel, Cloak and Dagger Christmas is a readathon in the month of December where I celebrate mysteries, crime fiction, detective fiction, whatever you want to call it. I celebrate mysteries. I love reading mysteries at Christmas time because I find your brain is kind of busy with holiday plans, and depending on how busy everyone is this year, I don't know how busy everyone will be, but regardless, you're just kind of in a different headspace, and I find mysteries are so lovely to dip in and out of, and all you have to do to participate in Cloak and Dagger Christmas is read a mystery. You could read a mystery short story and you have participated. The other hosts of Cloak and Dagger Christmas are Mel from the booktube channel Melanie Martin, and Janelle from Too Fond of Books, Carolyn from Carolyn's Reading Rambles, and then Kate from the Novel Nomad. Now, some of the hosts might be more active on Instagram. I'm not sure who all is putting up videos, but I will link channels down below and you can go to their channels, and if they have put up an announcement video for Cloak and Dagger Christmas, you will see it there. Now, for those of you that have fun really getting into the spirit of things and would like to expand more with your mystery reading, we have some completely optional prompts. And last year, the theme was the rooms in a clue board, or Cluedo, as it's called in other countries. And this year, we based the prompts off literary detectives. So I will tell you the prompts. Now, we have a lot of prompts because, well, there's a lot of literary detectives out there. And we think it's fun to have different levels of involvement. So if you're like, I like the prompts, but I'm not sure how many I want to do, you can go kind of more light, or medium, or all in. And for 3 prompts, if you're going to do 3 prompts, that's the amateur investigator level. And then 6 prompts is the police inspector level. And lastly, the 9 prompts is the Sherlock Holmes level. Do what you want with these prompts. They are optional. If they're fun for you, go for them. If they're not fun, skip them. However, whatever makes your December reading more fun. And the first prompt is the Inspector Bucket prompt, and it is to read a Victorian mystery or one set in the Victorian era. Inspector Bucket is an iconic Dickens character from Bleak House, so we thought it would be fun to name a prompt after him, and I will give recommendations after I'm done telling you about the prompts. And the next prompt is called Tommy and Tuppence, and this is to read a mystery that features a great team. Tommy and Tuppence are featured in several Agatha Christie books. I think they're in 5 books. I have actually not read any Tommy and Tuppence. I'm working my way through Poirot first, and then Marple, and then I'll get through Tommy and Tuppence. The next prompt is Agatha Raisin, and this is to read a mystery with an amateur sleuth. In the beginning of the Agatha Raisin series, she is an amateur sleuth. Eventually, later on into the series, she does become a private investigator. But this is the amateur sleuth prompt because there are a lot of mystery series with amateur sleuths. And then the Hercule Poirot prompt, read a Golden Age mystery or one set between 1920 and 1945. So you could read one that was written in the golden age of crime. That is the term for mysteries written between 1920 and 1945, those interwar years. Or you could read one that is a historical mystery and is set then. Then Gamache, Inspector Gamache, Louise Penny's series set in 3 Pines. And this is to read a mystery with a bilingual detective, because Armand Gamache is Canadian and he also speaks French. Or you can read one set in a village. So a couple of these prompts, there's a couple interpretations, and if you have any interpretations too, you can do it that way. Then Detective Galileo, who is a Japanese detective, and Mel, you will see her video. She has a lot more experience with reading translated fiction, and she is a translator herself, so she's a great resource for that. And that is to read a translated mystery or one set in a country different from yours. The next prompt is Kinsey Milhone. This is I think Sue Grafton is the author, and she is a private detective. So this prompt is pretty straightforward. Read a mystery with a private detective. Then Flavia de Luce. She is a child investigator. When the series starts out, she is 11 years old. So this prompt, the Flavia de Luce prompt, says read a children's mystery or new to you series, because I was thinking children are new to life. So I thought I would add that interpretation. Next is Columbo, and this is a kind of a freebie type prompt, and this is to watch an episode of a mystery TV show. I don't think I've ever met a mystery reader that didn't also enjoy watching mystery TV shows. They are so conducive to being on the big screen. We also have some fun events happening. One is the group read, and we're going to have a couple Zoom discussions. And so the book is Footsteps in the Dark by Georgette Heyer, and it's set in a priory, and it sounds fascinating and atmospheric and gripping, and I'm really looking forward to it. So the 2 times for that, we are trying to accommodate people in the United States and Canada, people in North America, and then also people in the UK and Europe, and also people in Australia, because we have hosts from all of those locations. So hopefully one of these times will accommodate you. So the group read book discussion times for Footsteps in the Dark, Sunday, December 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 6 p.m. GMT. And then a Saturday evening discussion for the US, Saturday, December 11th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard. And then it will be Sunday morning, Sunday, December 12th at 10:45 a.m. Australian Central Daylight Time. And I think it's going to be really fun to discuss those. If you want to participate in the book discussions, you must email me so I can send you the link. A couple times when I've hosted these book discussions, I've had people email me after the discussion and say, oh, I wanted to participate in the discussion, but they didn't email me before, so I wasn't able to send them a link. So if you want to participate, please send me an email. I have my email listed in the description down below, along with those times, because this is a lot of information. And if you follow me on Instagram, which is No Compliments to Your Mother, you will also find the Instagram posts on there with all of the times. Then we're going to have 2 watch-alongs. And the first is Murder, She Wrote, Season 9, Episode 9, and it's called A Christmas Secret. We're going to be watching this on Sunday, December 5th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 7 p.m. UK time. This is a Christmas episode of Murder, She Wrote. And I'm pretty sure everywhere you can access this episode on Peacock, which is a streaming service, and is free. I think it just means you will watch commercials also while you watch it. And then another watch along. This is for the North Americans and Australians. We're going to be watching The Lady Vanishes, this newer version, and on Friday, December 10th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then Saturday 11th at 10:45 a.m. Australian Central Daylight Time. Time zones just hurt my brain to think about all of that. So all of the information is down below. Cannot wait for all of the mysterious fun. And now for recommendations for the prompts. For the Inspector Bucket prompt, Victorian era setting or Victorian novels, which you know I'm going to recommend some of those. First, I gotta say, The Moonstone by Wilkie Collins. This is a very just so quintessential kind of a mystery. A jewel is missing, and it has multiple narrators, which apparently Wilkie Collins got the inspiration for multiple narrators from when he read about murder trials in the newspaper. You would have all these testimonies from different people, and he thought, why not have a book narrated in the same way? Then I also say for the Columbo prompt, this miniseries of The Moonstone is so excellent. I don't hear enough people talk about this. It is so good. You will not regret watching this. I think it's 3 hours. Maybe it's 4 hours. It's 3.5. It's excellent. Okay, then also some more Victorian goodness. Then some more Victorian fun is another Wilkie Collins, The Woman in White. You could slowly chip away at this throughout the month, and it has so much atmosphere to it, and is just thrilling. Edge of your seat, at least for me it was. Then I would like to recommend Mary Elizabeth Bratton's Lady Audley's Secret, along with Aurora Floyd. These both have so much atmosphere and are just page turners. I wanted to know what was going to happen, and I think the characterization is also really wonderful and just exceptional in them. And then one that I can't tell you much about because I don't want you to know what the mystery in it is, but that is Mary Barton by Elizabeth Gaskell. This does have a big mystery in it, and it has a bit of a slow start, and then it just kind of climaxes and you keep reading and keep reading. You want to, you can't read quickly enough to find out what is going to happen. And it's so thrilling and really different from her other books, but that's how all of her books are because she's just wonderful. So yes, I highly recommend Mary Barton. Then I'd like to recommend the Veronica Speedwell series by Deanna Raybourn, and this is a historical mystery series. Veronica Speedwell is a very unconventional woman. I think there are some kind of revisionist ideas about all of the freedoms that she would have had traveling about as a Victorian woman, but it's such a fun series that I just forgive it of that because I love it so much. And then also the Charles Lennox series by Charles Finch. He is a gentleman inspector, Charles Lennox is, and there's a little bit of politics that is involved eventually, and it's just an excellent all-around series and lots of cozy details in it, which I love, the cozy domestic details in mysteries. Then for the Armand Gamache prompt, the Read a Village Mystery or one with a bilingual detective, and the one with a bilingual detective, I'd like to recommend the Commissario Brunetti series by Donna Leone. These are set in Venice and are just stunning in the strength of the writing, in the puzzle of the mystery, and in the characterization. And I just love the scenes with him and his family. And also, you do get a picture of kind of nepotism in current day Venice, and it's a lovely, lovely series. Then the Longmire series by Craig Johnson. This to me is just, I'm so happy I found this series because it feels like getting to read a Western, but it's a mystery series. And so you get that kind of Western flavor, but I really do love mysteries more than any other genre fiction. And it's glorious. It does have a fair amount of language in it. So if you listen to the audiobooks, the narrator is wonderful, but maybe, it's not family friendly, but such a good series. And lastly, the Grantchester series by James Runcie. I cannot recommend these enough. I think especially for literary fiction lovers, and there's such a really beautiful, quiet, gentle tone to these, and they're really introspective, and I adore the character of Sidney Chambers. He's so much better in the books than in the TV series, where they've ruined his character, in my opinion. Then the Tommy and Tuppence prompt, read a mystery that features a great team. The Inspector and Mrs. Jeffrey series by Emily Brightwell is so wonderful and has just a lot of different characters because she is a Victorian housemaid, and so you get to know all the other servants in the house. But also she is great friends with her employer, the inspector, and she helps him figure out his cases. He's definitely the bumbling inspector. Then Inspector Wexford and Mike Burden from Ruth Rendell's Wexford series, which is my favorite detective series. This is a hard-boiled series, very psychological. It started in the 60s and was written all the way through the early 2000s. So a very long-standing series, and Shake Hands Forever, by the way, is one of my absolute favorites in the series. And then Inspector Linley and Barbara Havers from Elizabeth George's series. I love the clash that these two have because there is a lot of cultural differences. He was raised, he went to a public school, which in England that is what we would call a private school, and he's very upper class, blue blood. And Barbara Havers is very middle, working class, and just the obviously male-female dynamic. I love these two working together. The Amory Ames series by Ashley Weaver is so fun. It's lots of schmoozing at house parties, and just has all the glitz and the glamour of that time. And if it's ever adapted, it would be so lovely to see on screen. Then the Mitford Mysteries by Jessica Fellows. Louisa Cannon is the investigator in this. And if you want something that is just such a page turner. I find this to be such a gripping series, and I really want to know, what's going to happen towards the end. I love them, and they work wonderfully as audiobooks. And then the Lady Emily series by Tasha Alexander. This would also work for the Victorian prompt. It is set during the Victorian era, and I love the character of Lady Emily. In this opening book, she is a recent widow, and she is wondering if everything is as it seemed with her husband's seemingly accidental death, and thus begins her career in investigating. What I love is that each book is set in a different country, so you get a little taste of the different countries that she is in. And I will also include a detective who is as a prompt, but the Flavia de Luce series is just a wonderful amateur sleuth series. Flavia is such a unique narrator, and she has such a morbid sense of humor. She's very Wednesday Addams, and I love this series. This series does seem to be a hit or miss kind of series for people, but I think it's so eloquently written and just snappy. I really, really like it. I have not finished it yet, though. Then the Hercule Poirot prompt for reading a Golden Age mystery or one set during that time. And I would like to recommend the Alan Grant series by Josephine Tey. She has a few in here that I really love, particularly Daughter of Time, which is possibly her most famous mystery, and then also The Franchise Affair. These are going to be not your kind of really instant gratification puzzle mystery. They're very psychological and quiet. But out of the Golden Age writers that I have read, as far as just general writing goes, how I feel about their writing style, she is my favorite. Above Agatha Christie, she could write a phone book and I would find it interesting. I love her writing. And also Miss Pym Disposes is a standalone, but that is also set in that time. So you could also read Miss Pym Disposes. It's at a boarding school and there is a seemingly accidental death, but it's so high in psychology, and I could not put it down, even though not all that much happens in it until the very end. And then you're kind of reeling, and I can still picture it so vividly. Then Brat Farrar, also by Josephine Tey. This is about a family where one twin disappeared a decade ago and then shows up when it's time to collect the inheritance. And they all say, "We thought you were dead," and are you really who you say you are? And you're really questioning yourself the whole time you read it. It's so good and written only like Josephine Tey can do it. And then the Her Royal Spyness series by Rhys Bowen. This is a really light, fluffy, cotton candy kind of cozy mystery series, and it has some really fun romance in it. I love this series, and I think the next one I'll read will be the 10th one in the series. It's so good, and it has always punny titles. The last one I read was Malice at the Palace, and I just always enjoy the titles. Next, for the Detective Galileo prompt, which is to read a translated mystery or one set in a country different than yours. For set in a country different than mine, the Aaron Falk mysteries by Jane Harper. The Dry is the first one in that series, and that really does tread the line between thriller and mystery, and I loved it so much. I was on the edge of my seat. I felt like I needed a nap at the end, though, because I got so wrapped up in the plot. And then also the Perveen mystery series by Sujata Massey. This is set in Raj era India, and I have only read the first, and I keep meaning to read more in the series, but there are so many mystery series out there, and so I have not gotten around to it. I do not have any translated mystery recommendations for you. Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventures, and I'm pretty sure Kate from the novel Nomad are going to have some good recommendations there. You can also do some research online, and I think I know what I want to read, but I'm still fine-tuning my TBR. Then for the Kinsey Milhone prompt of reading a mystery with a private detective, the Hercule Poirot series by Agatha Christie is possibly the most famous mystery series out there. Agatha Christie's books are only outsold by the Bible and Shakespeare, is what I've heard. They're popular for a reason, though. Her writing is pristine. So there's a lot of good options you could read with Poirot. Halloween Party is one of my favorites. Then also The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. Death Among the Clouds is way up there. And if you wanted a festive one, The Adventure of the Christmas Pudding is a short story. So I think it's around 60 pages, and that could be one that could be Christmassy and a mystery. And this Christmas, I am going to be reading Hercule Poirot's Christmas, which is a full-length Poirot novel, and I cannot wait. And then Dorothy Sayers' Lord Peter Wimsey. So he is a lord who is an inspector. And this copy, I feel so honored to have this. Was my late father-in-law's copy, and he loved Dorothy Sayers. So Gaudy Night is probably the favorite that I've heard from most Lord Peter Wimsey fans. It's really chunky, and I would love to work my way through it this December. There's so many books I want to read this December, though, so I don't know. We shall see. And then another Christmassy one is An English Murder by Cyril Hare. What is the publication date for this? You could knock off several prompts with this, because just passed 1951. But it does have the private investigator, and I love how the sky is a red sky and it's dripping down, so it's made to look like blood. This cover's very iconic, but it's a British house party, and then there is this mysterious death, and 202 pages, and just a really lovely page-turning kind of mystery. Then the Flavia de Luce prompt of reading a children's mystery or a new to you series. And I would like to recommend the Nancy Drew series by Carolyn Keene. I think a lot of people start off with Nancy Drew, and I am planning actually for this prompt to listen to a Laura Linney narrated audiobook, because there is suspenseful kind of creepy music in between chapters, and she does a great narration. So I'm really looking forward to that. A few years ago during middle grade March, I read The Westing Game, and there is, it's very, very theatrical. There's this whole cast of characters living in this apartment building, and you have to figure out the mystery and who did it, and it's a really fun children's mystery. And then Winter House by Ben Gooderson. This is set at a hotel called Winter House, and just has a lot of the glamorous backdrop that you want. There are some mysterious guests staying at Winter House, and it's incredibly charming. If you can get your hands on a physical copy, I checked it out from the library a few years ago. I loved the illustrations that were very generously put throughout, so a feast for the eyes as well. And lastly, the Columbo prompt to watch a mystery TV episode. And there are so many mystery TV shows that I love. First is Monk, starring Tony Shalhoub, about a detective who, after his wife dies, his OCD that he already had really becomes full-blown, and it drives everyone around him crazy. Because he is so particular, but it also means he notices very specific details. It has a lot of comedy in it, and it's not too scary if you're worried about that kind of thing. Then